Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. We got Casper Leach here, as you can see, and as co-host, and our longtime co-host and friend, Dr. Philip Levesque. Yay! Happy birthday, Dr. Levesque. We have the big 9-0. Tonight is the night. And standing by in the wings is John Cornett with some music for the moment. So we'll be back to take your phone calls, questions for Dr. Levesque, Casper, and I, and a few interesting film clips. Just stay tuned after we bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves.
I feel the force.
Cornett. Hey, John.
Happy birthday, Dr. Levesque.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming. This is a song that Tracy Chapman recorded a few years ago. It's called Change. If you knew that love would break your heart, you're down so low you cannot fall, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would die today, saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction, cause and effect, makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. If you knew that you would be alone, knowing right, being wrong, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would find a truth that brings up pain that can't be soothed, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction, cause and effect, makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. Are you so uptight you can't be bent when it comes to blows? Are you so think you know makes your life unbearable. Would you change? Would you change?
Thank you, John. That was good. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, Dr. Levesque. Good to see you, Casper, too. Today is your big 90th birthday.
Yahoo.
And so we're happy to have you come on the show to celebrate. Now, you've been, you recorded an ad for us right here in this studio back in early October, and this shortly after that, you had a big accident.
About a week later, yeah.
About a week later, you want to tell our audience what happened? You fell in your home and broke your hip.
I slipped on a slick kitchen floor and slammed down on my left leg on the side, and up at the top of this bone where it fits into the socket, I fractured it right about there. So I've got 3 titanium screws holding me together, and actually about a month afterwards I had some x-rays, and the doctor assured me, says, "Dr. Levesque, you don't have any screws loose."
Oh, nice.
So I was very,
At least there's that.
I was very comforted in that. But it's been 4.5 months now, and strangely enough, when I got out of the hospital, my doctor told me to plan on using a walker for about 6 weeks. So this has been my 14th week.
Oh.
And I hope in about 6 weeks from now, they're going to take out the 3 screws, and then so everybody can say, "Oh, Levesque's got a loose screw again."
So they'll take those screws out. Right now, they're causing you pain because you're sticking into a muscle, right?
Yeah.
But this is your first time in those 4.5 months to get out in the house, and I'm glad you're ready to here on your birthday.
Well, otherwise it's been to go to my surgeon or go to physical therapy, and right now I'm going in a heated swimming pool and hot tub twice a week, which is like a vacation in Cuba or Jamaica.
After you've been stuck in your home, I guess,
Jamaica,
for a while, really.
something like that. Yeah.
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 Well, I'm glad you could get here now. You co-hosted the show here for about 300 episodes.
That is correct.
And I always tell people that you helped us get our clinic started for the THCF medical clinics.
You know, that was a very interesting episode sequence of event, because I was first introduced to marijuana 85 years ago.
Wow. When you were 5.
When I was 5 years old. I sold newspapers in the red light district of Klamath Falls, and Mexican kids were smoking loco weed. And I knew what weed meant when I was 5 years old, but I didn't know what the hell loco was. That something like a locomotive or something like that? And I actually, a couple of years later, I just...
So that was actually before it was illegal, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
in
legal.
Klamath Falls. I know they criminalized it kind of early in California, but they didn't in Oregon.
Well, they
for a while.
criminalized it in Utah too, about 1915, something like that. Yeah.
So you helped us get our clinics going, and you've been. I remember I mentioned this to Casper just before as we were coming to the studio tonight. He mentioned he thought Anderson Cooper worked for the CIA. And I think a lot of people in the media are, federal, give us the federal line and are paid by the federal government. But I remember the first time I saw Anderson Cooper, you were being interviewed by him.
Yes, yeah, I was interviewed by Anderson Cooper. And
that was before he had a show, when he was just new to CNN.
Yeah, right. Well, this is really, really strange.
That was circa 1984 or 5.
He asked me the question, how many prescriptions for marijuana have you written? I says, you can't write a prescription for marijuana. He said, well, it says you did in the New York Times.
Right.
I said, well, the New York Times is wrong.
Right. It's not a prescription. It's a recommendation.
A journalist trying to put words in your mouth? My gosh.
I really flattened him on that one.
Well, I remember you also had Fox TV come into our clinic one day.
And do you remember the sequel of that when they showed the video?
Oh yeah, they played the funny reefer man.
They played Reefer Man.
Right. Have you ever met the funny reefer man? Well, here's Dr. Levesque. So that was quite a time.
I've also been written up in the Los Angeles Times, New York Times, the Vancouver VC papers, Rome, Paris, Norway, Moscow, Tokyo.
And probably more than that.
Well, probably those are the ones that I'm pretty sure about, because my daughter phoned me up and she says, "Dad, you've been written up in an Italian newspaper." And I said, "Well, yeah, that's true." He said, "Well, how did you do that?" And I said, "Well, I had a phone call from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the man says, I'm studying journalism at Ann Arbor, and I saw the story about you in the New York Times, and I'd like to interview you for my paper in Italy." And I said, "Well, that's fine." And he says, "Where do you live?" I says, "Portland, Oregon." He says, "Well, is that more than a 2-hour drive from Ann Arbor?" I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, yes, it's
2-day drive.
It's about 6-hour airplane ride." "Well, can we do this over the telephone?" I said, "Well, absolutely, we can do that." So about 5 days later, here I shows up on the main newspaper in Italy.
All right. You've been all over. You also helped march into Germany with Patton's army as a scout in the field.
Well,
the infantry.
Yeah, that's really quite a surprise. For about 3 months, I was in really heavy combat, and I didn't get a scratch. I got the hell scared out of me. One day, I captured 26 German officers.
It's a good thing they wanted to be captured.
That's really true, because the standard operating procedure was throw in a couple of grenades and shoot them as they come out. Okay.
Right.
I had 2 hand grenades and 8 rounds in my rifle. 26 German officers, and I wouldn't be sitting here if they didn't want to surrender. Just wouldn't happen.
Right.
But since I've been home, this is not my only accident. I've had my neck broken 3 times.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And I don't know why I'm surviving any of this kind of stuff, but I guess I'm too mean to.
It's one of those things. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, right?
Yeah.
So
something like that. Yeah.
That's what they say. We have at least one caller standing by. Let's go ahead and take a viewer phone call. We are taking phone calls tonight. If you have a question or comment, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4442. That's the back line. So 503-288-4442. And welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller.
Yes. My 2 sons, we grew up in the 70s, and they're 50 years old now. They were both diagnosed schizophrenic, bipolar. And when they were around my other friends that were smoking, their behavior would improve. There was laughing and very appropriate behavior. And my wife I've known for over 30 years, and she was diagnosed with schizophrenic bipolar. And of course she wouldn't smoke it. She said, "That's deadly. Just would not smoke it." But when she was in the room with the kids, they were smoking and everybody was smoking, she'd go to laughing. And there was no trace of schizophrenia when she was smoking then. I wanted to see if I could get her off of the psychotropic medications that's really making her sick. And she's got pseudo-Parkinson's from the psychotropics. And I just noticed that when they were smoking, she was having a good time. She didn't know it.
Right.
She didn't.
It was imperceptible to her, huh? Well, you don't have to smoke it. You can take it orally, in a tincture, in a food product, or even it was very common before cannabis was made illegal for it to be a topical agent. Johnson & Johnson put out a number of cannabis topical agents, including some that were cannabis and aspirin kind of mixed together as a topical for skin problems and muscle aches. So does your wife, are you interested in, does she have a card now? Are you trying to help her get one?
No, I'm just trying to convince her. She's from the old days that you didn't do that.
Right.
You didn't smoke that stuff. There was a devil or something going in it.
Well, you know, it could be legal for her. If you guys decide to do that, there's a list of conditions. Definitely Parkinson's is a qualifying condition. It helps many neurodegenerative conditions like that. We have doctors like Dr. Levesque helped us get these clinics started here in Oregon. We've got them all over the country, so we can refer people to doctors anywhere in the United States. If you're here in Portland, you can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. If you're outside of Portland, you can call us toll free at 1-800-723-0188. That number there on your screen.
No, that's very good.
May I add something?
Please.
And if you're living with somebody who is bipolar, schizophrenic, or has a disease of that nature, I'm bipolar, so I know how it affects you when you're not smoking pot. I need it. But if they won't smoke marijuana, I would encourage you to smoke marijuana so you can put up with them.
Keep up with it. I'm the one that's... I'm the one that's...
It'll help you, I'm sure.
I got to say something too.
Go ahead, Doctor.
There's a big argument right now about whether the psychiatrists are arguing that marijuana will make schizophrenia worse.
And in some cases it does. You know, there's about 10 to 15% of the people who have schizophrenia, I've actually seen it happen, where it does make schizophrenia worse. But for the other 80%, it has a beneficial effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And this person he's talking about should be eating brownies, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for your call. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. We have a pretty good-sized audience here tonight. We take questions from the audience as well with that microphone. But we have this nifty birthday cake. Maybe we can get camera 2 to close in on this. I want to be sure I don't damage it by any means, but we'll show it a little bit more later. Toward the end of the show, we will light up the candles, of course, sing happy birthday.
And get the fire extinguishers out, too, just in case, yeah.
Exactly. Well, we decided not to go with the full fleet of 90 candles. We didn't want to cause you to hyperventilate trying to blow this thing out, and so found these nifty 2 candles. That's a lot easier to do.
So did you
sure.
date Betty White?
I think she's older than me.
Oh, okay.
I like younger women.
All right. So after 90 years, what is it that you find that if you were to turn to somebody and say, hey, here's the deal. I've been here 90 years, and the things that I've learned is?
Well, actually, what we'll call the bad publicity, reefer madness, what the hell is the name of some of these other ones?
Yellow journalism.
Well, that too.
Yeah, okay.
That too. Devil weed.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
Well, when medical marijuana first became legal in Oregon, and the State Department of Health Services, or whatever the name of it is, says, we
They
estimate
changed their name several times over
yes,
the years.
yeah, they're an embarrassment.
They're now the health authority.
Or something like
the
that.
authority.
And they says, we estimate approximately 500 people will be eligible for an Oregon medical marijuana permit. Okay. And in the first week, I got 20 phone calls.
All right.
And so I said, well, the other 8,000 doctors can have the other 480 or something like that. And so I went on a grand tour to visit my old Army buddies and my kids that live out in the East Coast someplace. And when I got back home after 10 days, I had 50 phone calls.
Nice.
And some of the people came out to my house in Malala, And one of the first people that came out, she had been using marijuana for whatever purpose, and she gave me $200 for signing my name on a piece of paper. And I said, this is going to be pretty good.
Wow.
And after that is when I had got associated with Paul at a town hall meeting.
Yep, we were at KATU Channel 2's town hall, and I was in the hot seat. It was just before the vote. It was the week, just 2 days or 2 days before the vote in 1998, where we were urging people to vote yes on Measure 67 for medical marijuana and no on referendum Measure 57 to recriminalize marijuana. The legislature in 97 had passed a bill to recriminalize marijuana, and we got 90,000 signatures to stop that from going into effect. A year later, we got another 120,000 to put the marijuana legalization on the ballot. So we went into this town hall. Of course, there was one side of the studio where people largely in favor of marijuana. On the other side of the studio were people largely against marijuana. And you were right in the middle of the crowd that was against marijuana.
Well, the whole thing there were so many people pro-marijuana, and I was on crutches.
Yeah.
So I had to sit on the other way. And what was the name of that attorney who was running you know who I'm talking about?
Oh,
Jack.
Oh, Jack Schweig. Oh, now that's the one in Hawaii. I can't remember his last name.
Yeah.
But Jack, he was the MC for a number of years.
Yeah, that's right. And so he wanted to know if anybody on the other side wanted to speak. And so I raised my hand.
Yeah.
And I said,
I think everybody around you thought you were about to launch into something about how terrible marijuana is.
And I says, marijuana's been used for 5,000 years as medicine and has never killed anybody. And I can see this Jack
These people start to scoot away from you. They kind of moved around. But I noted it, and as soon as that show was over, I came and invited you to co-host this show. We started this show in 1996, in late 1996. And then you came on at about show number 75 or 80.
Something like that, yeah.
And we have some clips of some of these earlier shows we're going to play here a little bit later.
With Paul Loney.
Yeah, we had Paul Loney on as a guest host, and he stayed on till about show 125 or so.
Yeah.
Then when we switched over from this private studio that Lanny Swerdlow had started done the first 120 shows, you moved over to when we started to record shows here as well.
You're right.
And you stayed at it for quite a while.
Well, the first applications that I wrote were in your homes.
Yeah.
For about 3 different homes?
Yeah.
3 or 4 different homes?
What happened is that people started coming to the TV show before the show to get you to sign their papers, and it just started to be overwhelming in terms of the people coming just before the show, and so I decided to move it over to my home for a while, and that became, my kids were young then, they're young adults now, but I roll around on the floor and pick up all the food scraps and toys and stuff, but eventually we opened an office on Broadway and 45th, and we outgrew that office the day we opened it. It was too small, and so we kept going, and it's
well. I think one of the most unusual events that happened during the first part of this time that we were in the building right behind the Benson Hotel, and the people would come in there and they started looking around the room like this, and I said, well, what are you looking for? And they said, well, where are the cameras and where are the microphones? And I said, well, that's pretty damn easy. This is the microphone, and actually this is the button for the television set.
And you were pulling their leg.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah, but
they didn't realize that.
And so they would ask me, well, are there any police here? And I says, well, yes, there's a couple of cops in the back room smoking.
Well, I remember, that at first, before we worked into our own office too, we used the community center in Hollywood, and that was a community police station
yes,
too.
It was.
So we had the police coming
that
around.
That was when Fox News interviewed.
Fox News interviewed you right there in the community.
And the police are in the back room.
Right. They weren't smoking pot though. Let's be clear on that one. Yeah, I think we're getting up to maybe 30 people. Well, we got plenty of cake here.
And you got an audience question here?
Oh, go right ahead, man.
Hello,
Welcome to the
Doctor.
show.
Happy birthday, Doctor. I want to take advantage of the fact that you're here. A subject that I haven't asked anybody about. I have Alzheimer's in my family, and I'm getting up there in years, and I'm thinking about it more and more. And I wondered if you could tell me anything about the efficacy or
Yes.
known efficacy
Yes.
with regards to.
There are.
You asked that question last week, but that's all right.
He's joking.
This is a very interesting question because marijuana is so effective on many brain conditions, many, probably 35 or so.
Basically, every neurodegenerative disease,
yeah.
it has neuroprotective effects. In fact, even the Health and Human Services Division has patented it the federal government has patented it for its neuroprotective effect.
The heck you say?
Yeah,
I knew
they
they
have.
did it for cancer, but I didn't
Well,
know.
yeah, and for chronic pain.
Well, I'll be darned. But at any rate, Oregon has somewhere around 50 Alzheimer patients with medical marijuana permits.
Alzheimer's was added to the list. In fact, it's one of the few things that the
That's right.
health authority,
Yeah.
Now,
the health division,
How does it help with Alzheimer's? Does it help maintain memory or what?
it helps.
It helps.
Yeah, it slows the progression of all neurodegenerative diseases. So it stops the buildup of this calcification plaque. I think they call it amyloid plaque. Amyloid plaque on the neurons. That's the cause of Alzheimer's. So it's very beneficial for Alzheimer's and any other neurodegenerative disease.
Well, also,
Parkinson's.
also there's a second thing about marijuana. It's euphoric effect. And so the first American pharmacology textbook says it was a euphoriant, but it was habit forming. Now, what's wrong with a habit forming euphoria drug?
I don't know. You know,
It's
you
a
can't
lot
have
better.
people feeling good.
Lots
you know.
better than amphetamines.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Don't
true.
they have another one like that called sugar?
That doesn't make you feel good in the long run, though.
No, but when
So-
you eat it,
and
you
it's
feel-
bad for you. I've had too much of that. Online, you know, our show streams online all around the world on the internet on ustream.tv. We're receiving numerous happy birthday comments
Yay.
and thank you for your life of good work and the best is yet to come.
Yay!
That's the message
Great.
coming out from our internet audience. And so if you're out there and you have a question for us, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442.
There are a lot of people in the community who have been treated by you. When I mention your name, they're like,
Five-
"Oh, he's my doctor."
5,000.
Is that
It's
why
more
you
than
are
that.
Is that why
It's
you're
more
the
than
most
5,000.
dangerous man
That's
in
why
Oregon?
I'm the most.
Who gave you that title?
The Oregon Medical Board had an agreement with the Oregonian. We will tell you the dirt about Dr. Levesque if you will print. So the Oregonian, the Oregon Medical Board phoned up the Oregonian and says Dr. Levesque is a danger to all of his patients and the public in general.
Good
And
Lord.
it hit the front page of the Oregonian.
You're
Imagine
scaring me.
that, talking about
Scaring
media
me.
manipulation.
But I have another story to tell about Lars Larson. Everybody heard about Lars Larson?
I know about Lars Larson. Yeah,
Well, when
a
this
conservative pundit.
when this marijuana was first legalized, his producer phoned me up and says, Dr. Levesque, would you be willing to be on Lars Larson's show about this marijuana business? And I says, yes, I will be willing to be on the program if Lars Larson admits that he used to smoke marijuana.
And what did he say?
And well, I was on for an hour and a half. And he was his usual obnoxious self through the whole 9 yards and so forth. And finally he made some comment and I says, Lars, you're very judgmental for somebody who used marijuana.
Nice.
He didn't say a word. And later on, he asked me, how old was your oldest patient? I says, 90 years old. What was wrong with the patient? I says, I think it was old age. How old was your youngest patient? 13 months. Dr. Levesque, how do you get a 13-month-old child to smoke marijuana?
You don't.
And I said, she was drinking cannabis tea.
Right.
Oh, But he phoned up the medical board and says Dr. Levesque is trying to make a marijuana addict out of a 13-month-old child.
Really?
You
He
evil
filed a
man.
Wow. That sounds like Lars. We have a clip we're going to run now. This is from back, I think, circa 1999, like show 100 or so. And we'll be back just after this clip when we were younger.
When I was younger.
We were all younger then. It was, 1999. We were definitely younger. It's about to start.
Cigarettes. There are 8 people in the United States who have letters of permission from the Drug Enforcement Administration to use marijuana for their medical purposes. Now, if 8 people can use it for medical purposes, for relief of their medical problem, why can't 9 or 10 or 1,000 use it? So it's a very, very strange situation. And a year and a half ago, I was one of 6 doctors who testified at the American Medical Association convention for the American Medical Association to stand behind the rights of patients to use marijuana for medical purposes. And this was passed by the House of Delegates of the American Medical Association in Dallas. The headquarters of the American Medical Association has, I don't know whether the word is they've sat on their hands or sat on their heads or whatever they've done, but they haven't done anything about it. And we 6 doctors have written a letter to the Journal of the American Medical Association as the equivalent of a letter to the editor asking why hasn't the American Medical Association taken a stand on this? Well, the first letter we wrote, they sent back that we're sorry, but we're rejecting it because we have too many other things to print in the magazine or something like that. And then about 6 weeks ago, the American, what is it, the Institute of Medicine?
Institute of Medicine.
The Institute of
National
Medicine
Academy of Science.
From the National Academy of Science came out, very highly publicized throughout the United States, that there was considerable evidence that marijuana was good for certain medical problems. And the American Medical Association has been strangely quiet about this, but in view of the Institute of Medicine, we 6 doctors again wrote a letter to the American Medical Association and the Journal of the American Medical Association say, the Institute of Medicine says that it has some benefit in medical purposes, and why should people who use it be thrown in jail for using it for medical reasons? So, as somebody pointed out a few minutes ago, we are at the cutting edge of this, and with the vote, I guess the last 2 elections we had for use of medical marijuana.
Yeah, November of '98 here in Oregon.
Yep.
And Washington and
Arizona.
Arizona, they voted on it for
California.
the second time.
Yeah.
They originally voted in 1996 along with California to legalize medical marijuana.
All right. Well, there we were, younger and sprier, I think. Hopefully.
Maybe you were sprier.
You look pretty good there.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's very interesting. You said about 10 years ago?
that's more than 10 years ago. That's 99, so that would be about 14 years ago. A pretty good period. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 13, 14, something like that. More than 13.
Yeah.
So that was before we started recording in this studio when we were still in Lanny Swertlow's private studio.
We got somebody over there who wants to talk to us.
Okay, go right ahead, sir.
100 years of prohibition. I've been smoking ganja for almost like 20 years.
I know you've had a lot of medical conditions, and it's helped your spasms and
all my life.
All right.
I've just, I don't know, just
Okay.
100 years of protest. And when I was 9 or whatnot, cops said drugs are bad. And I was like, what the hell? And the very first time I smoked it was ganja. But
All right.
one thing about me is like
Okay.
just
Listen, what do you think about patients who have those, conditions using
Well,
cannabis?
the whole thing is that any medical condition can be rated on a scale of 1 to 10,
Right.
and 1 or 2 or 3 probably they probably don't need it, but they probably appreciate the
Yeah.
fact that it is a.
I know
is
this
a
gentleman here has been coming to our show and everything for a while, and I know I've seen him get more control of his dystonic movement or kind
Yeah,
of spasms
yeah.
and things.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he's definitely getting
Well,
getting
it's-
better
all
at
my
that.
life though is like a girlfriend. Just like
You seem to be kind of trapped for words there. You know what? We're going to go ahead and take a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Good night.
Hello.
Hello.
Say, I've got a question. I went to the doctor the other day. I've been smoking marijuana for 30 years. I've got a permit. I've got a grow card. And he told me that if I didn't quit this, he says, I'm going to die with this dementia and I'll be...
Well, it just shows what he doesn't know what he's talking about, because it helps stop dementia or Alzheimer's, as we were talking about just a moment ago. Might be time to find a new doctor.
Yeah, and it might be time to tell your doctor to define Google.
Yeah. Did you have any other comment?
So you think I should still go ahead and continue smoking then?
Heavens, yes.
If it's helping you,
I got
you
a story
should
about that too.
go ahead.
Okay. I had patients all along I-5 and out on the coast, Brookings, and over to Klamath Falls and Bend and so forth. And I had a pair of brothers in Ashland or Medford, I can't remember which. And I always used to ask my patients, how long have you been using and so forth. And these two guys said 55 years. And I says, well, may I ask who introduced you to use marijuana? Our grandmother. So if they were in, I mean, despite the fact they've been using for 55 years, they were in quite good shape, and they must have been probably in their 70s or something
I'm
like that.
75.
So the harm of marijuana is minuscule, absolutely minuscule, and the fact that it's been used for probably 5,000 years.
At least, maybe more than 12.
Yeah.
Maybe as much as 30,000.
Well, and whether or not it's been used for its psychotropic action or not, I really don't know, because the seeds are an excellent food.
Yeah.
And
a fiber for clothing and
but
cordage.
the Scythians, which is in southern Russia, used to use it in sweat lodges.
Yeah.
And they would make themselves a bunch of hot rocks and throw the plants on top of
They
that.
were vaporizing it.
They were vaporizing it, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this was 1,000 years ago.
Oh, that was more than that.
That we know about.
Yeah.
Definitely know about.
Wait a minute.
There are
Were you there?
archaeological sites.
Were you there?
I was there.
There are these archaeological sites in Central Asia that are over 20,000 years old that they found hemp products from, and they found another site here. Ethan Russo, a doctor from University of Montana, wrote about they'd found hashish in the medicine bag or a bag in a burial site that was 5,000 years old. So the oldest texts, medical texts, all talk about marijuana, whether it's the Veda, part of the Rig Veda, the original Sanskrit texts. They all mention marijuana as the primary medicine. It's the top listed medicine in all ancient texts.
Well, just remember in Exodus 21, or is it 30, 21, 22, something like that?
You got me.
Something like that. You don't read Exodus very often.
I have not in a long time. My wife does it for me.
In biblical times, it was known as cannabosum, which is cannabis. Okay,
right, part of the anointing oil of Christ.
Absolutely, and it was definitely used as medicine during biblical times.
That's for
which
sure.
was like 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000 to 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, right on.
We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi.
Howdy.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth.
Hello,
and
Elizabeth.
I was calling because my sister, I'm a medical patient, and my sister sent me an article that says that cannabis is bad for your brain, that the THC mimics the andronomide receptors in your brain and acts upon the cannabinoid.
You know, that study that came out was countered by several other doctors. It was a single unreplicable result that has since been reanalyzed to show that that study wasn't valid. It doesn't cause any more harm to people than anything else. So
okay, that's good to know. I just do not know. I was concerned.
Sure, I understand that.
And I was also sorry.
It's okay. Thanks for your call.
I was also told it causes heart attacks. Is that true?
No.
Okay,
Not at
that's what the article said too.
In fact, I understand that people who smoke marijuana live longer than people who smoke nothing at all, because it cuts back on heart attack and blood pressure diseases, and makes you be able to put up with your kids better.
Yes, well, it helps me a lot. It helps me with my pain.
Yeah, well, then I would recommend keep using it. Instead of smoking it, you can vaporize, which is something that I've long advocated, these devices called vaporizers. Of course, you can take it orally as well. It lasts longer when you take it orally with food or in a tincture, and that eliminates all the harm associated with smoking. Long-term smoking can cause bronchitis or phlegm in your lungs, and so that's the big danger of smoking.
Do you know any the study that I can cite against the brain one?
You know, there is a list out there. If you can go to the internet at Granny Storm Crow's list, it is a long 100-page list of each condition and each medical study with dozens of medical studies listed on there. And if you can't find that, call our office at 503-235-4606. That number that just popped up on your screen. And
what did you say your website was?
Oh, well, this one isn't our website is hemp.org, but the website for that information is Granny Storm Crow's List. Granny Storm Crow's List.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I want to remind every member of Congress out there that not only can you take marijuana through smoking it or by ingesting it with brownies, you can take it by suppository.
Okay, there you have it.
The fact of the matter is,
have you tried that, Casper?
Not yet.
A pharmacy in Portland was actually making marijuana suppositories.
Well, there you go.
Was that before Prohibition or recently?
Well, when it became legal.
Well, let's send one to every member of Congress.
For the people who didn't want to smoke.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
We have a studio audience member, LK. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Doc, I want to say happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
I want to thank you for signing some of my first permits, and I'm proud to say that I've never smoked in front of the police or underwater. And I want to thank you for your service to our country. And when I was in Germany, I had to buy my bourbon. Maybe you can tell everybody about de-icer. I read your book and the de-icer chapter about World War II.
Yes.
You know, so that was pretty cool. Good read. If you haven't read his book, guys, buy his book and check it out.
And your book is Dog-Faced Soldier.
General Patton's Dog-Faced Soldier. Yeah.
All right. And if somebody wants a copy of it, what would they do?
And phone me up.
All right.
They find your phone number where? Just
call our office. We'll be happy to help with that number on your screen. It's 503.
As a matter of fact, I brought
cards.
I brought
for
a
the
few
studio
cards
audience
here
members.
and so forth, but I've sold over 3,000 of the.
I bet you sell more if you had a website.
When
you
you
give
first
out.
brought those, I took these typewritten things with notes written on the side and scanned them and did an optical character recognition and put it into digital form for you back circa about 1998 or so.
Something like that, yeah.
I think we have another phone call on the system here. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello?
Howdy.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes. I'd like to find out, the marijuana stem and the branches, is it usable? Can you grind it in some of the food?
You mean in the stems?
Yes.
No, you shouldn't use the stems. That's mainly fiber. The leaves have some cannabinoids. The flowers are where most of the active medicines reside, but there's some in the leaf, very minor amounts in the stem.
Oh, yes, so stem is no good, huh?
No, you can make paper out of it, or canvas.
Oh.
But yeah,
How
it's
I
not
make
that
paper? I
good.
don't know.
I've heard the roots have been used as a poultice or a topical agent, but not the stems. Thanks for your call. We have a couple questions online as well. Online, they're saying, Doctor, good doctor, what is your greatest inspiration?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's the question.
My greatest inspiration.
Yeah. Okay. Think about that. The other one
Comedy.
What got you into medicine?
When I was about 12 years old, I decided that I wanted to be a forensic chemist.
Uh-huh.
And a forensic chemist has turned out to be a toxicologist, but it wasn't called that at that time. They were my training professor was the Oregon State chemist for many, many years, and he trained me as a toxicologist. And then when I got to medical school, I became a PhD of pharmacology and toxicology.
And you taught pharmacology and toxicology in a number of medical schools.
I taught physiology, pharmacology, and toxicology for about 10 medical schools. I was invited to East Africa, Uganda, and Tanzania, where I trained the first doctors in Tanzania.
You're at the University of Georgia, Ohio?
All over the place. I was recruited by the University of London to teach in Africa, and so just like I say, I trained the first doctors there, I was a medical school professor for 25 years. The last 3 years, I was a full-time student while I was a full-time professor.
And that was at the
Osteopathic College in Des Moines, Iowa. And the strange thing about it was that I got my osteopathic degree when I was 54 years old, and I was older than most of the teachers.
That's funny. That's when you started being an individual practicing osteopath.
Yeah.
We have another caller. We're down to less than 9 minutes left. Let's go ahead and take this call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yes, my question is, I wondered if someone was interested in becoming a grower here in Oregon for cannabis. Is there any kind of qualifications or anything that would prevent someone from being able to do that?
The only disqualification is if they have been convicted of selling marijuana or other drugs in the past 5 years. As long as they have not been convicted of drug distribution in the past 5 years, then they can be a medical marijuana grower. I recommend, though, if you're going to get someone to grow for you, that you know them and trust them, or at least know that they are a reputable character. We've seen many patients that have been misled by people posing as growers who stole the crop and took off with it. So it's something you have to be very careful about.
If someone was interested in doing that, would they be able to talk to you about it? And
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You can call our office at 503-235-4606. There's that number. Be happy to answer any questions. Or if you want to send an email, you can send one to D. Paul Stanford. That's DPaulStanford at gmail.com. And that's another good way. Or find me through Facebook.
And do you have to have any establish a residency for any period of time prior to?
In Oregon, you do not have to be a resident to get a medical marijuana permit in this state.
You do not? Or
You do not have to be a resident. Willie Nelson is a medical marijuana card holder here in the state of Oregon, the country music singer.
Barack Obama is probably.
Oh, well, I don't know about that.
Well, his brother.
No, really, Willie Nelson is. Barack Obama is not a medical marijuana card holder, but Willie Nelson definitely is. In fact, I'm his caregiver, I'm proud to say.
Oh, God, how wonderful.
It is. It's pretty cool.
But I guess I maybe misstated it. I wanted to know if you needed to establish a residency to become a grower.
You have to have a location. You don't have to establish residency, but you have to have a location to grow it in the state of Oregon. You can't license it to be grown outside of the state of Oregon. Oregon medical marijuana permits only allow it to be grown inside the state of Oregon. You have to give an Oregon address as your Oregon grow site to get a medical marijuana permit from the Oregon Health Authority.
Very helpful. I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome. That's why we're
Thank you
here.
for your work.
You're very welcome. Thanks for your call. Well, we are getting down there, Doctor. I want to first of all give you this nifty card that I think we're up to like 30 or 40 people here in the studio now. Good thing we have a big cake.
Yay!
And so here it is. It actually, on the front of it, says 90 wonderful years.
Yay! 90 wonderful years. If I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is really great.
To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Beckfield. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
You are loved. You are appreciated. People are just really benefiting from you.
Is there anything you would like to say on your big 9-0? This is a milestone event, I know. And so we're very happy you can make it to our show tonight for such a momentous event in your life. You want to say a couple more words, Doctor?
Yes. In appreciation of all of this affection. Do leaks Miriam Harrison, do leaks Miriam Sin, do Max Mirver Schmerzen, Weissnick wie du dich der Ben. Ja, Weissnick wie du dich der Ben. Thank you.
All right. I don't know German, but I bet it was pretty good. Oh, this thing's not.
I was just saying how much I loved them.
Oh, cool. Now I know. Well, this thing was starting to wick out. Let me try to light that again. Okay, there's only 2 of them here. Like I said, we didn't want to have too big a fire hazard. I bet you can blow that one out. Make a wish now.
Make a wish.
Got to make a wish. Maybe widen the camera angle so that they can see the cake just a bit.
This is going to be pretty tough for these 90 of them, you know.
I know. It's all right. Your wish will now come true.
All right, now call Washington and see if Congress has disappeared. That was your wish, right? That was your wish, right?
I have a very good friend of mine who says, when you get to be this age, don't buy green bananas.
All right.
So my inspiration is to not buy any green bananas.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're glad you can make it tonight, and wish you many more.
Very good. Very good.
Maybe we'll have you on for that 100th birthday. That's only 10 years away.
Well,
we should be up to show about
my brother
1,200 by then.
My father lived till he was 95, and my brother will be 96 in 28 days.
All right.
So I've got good genes, and so I'm.
Your shirt's not bad either.
Yeah. I like your vest.
Yeah.
That was a double entendre.
I keep trying. I'm not as good as Casper at that, but I keep trying. So I want to thank you for all you've done for Oregon patients, for us, for me in particular. You've helped thousands of people.
I've
get
had
medicine.
over 5,000 patients.
Yes. Considerably over 5,000, I believe.
Well, about 550, I think. I mean, 5,500, something.
Yeah.
Something
Well,
like
we help each year now at THCF Medical Clinics about 25,000 patients.
Oh, yeah.
And over the years, I know we've helped well over 100,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
Around the United States.
Yeah.
So, and you helped it all get going.
Yes.
It's kind of like that old saying, teach a guy or give a guy a fish, he's got a meal, teach him to fish, and he's got a career or something.
You wrote that saying,
is anybody smoking fish here? Or something?
I smoke fish sometimes, but I don't inhale them.
I never get near fish.
Yeah.
I never get near fish. Just
Right.
saying.
I understand.
All right.
All right, Doctor. Happy birthday again. We're going to go out
Thank you.
With another fine song from Mr. John Cornett. Thanks for playing. Remember to tune in next week. We've got one more live show. We'll be here on the 1st of March, and then we'll be off on the 8th and the 15th. We'll be having tape shows during that period, but we've got one more live show on March 5th, and then we won't be back until I think about a month from today. It's a short month, on the 22nd of March. All right, thank you. And help us restore hemp. Yeah.
Yay.
Some folks like tomatoes, some like rhubarb pie. I like when my vegetables get me a little high. May not be for everyone, may not fit your needs, but this incredible edible vegetable is more than just a weed. Edible vegetable. Some folks like tomatoes, some like rhubarb pie. I like when my vegetables get me a little